Okay, welcome to video lesson 13.1. We are starting our value, color, and light unit, which is unit 4. And here's today's video lesson, color scheme artwork. So we're going to be discussing color schemes today and starting some color scheme artwork. I know we did a little bit in class, most of the classes did, but that was just some practice, and today we're going to work on doing a little bit better of a picture. So you need to get into your notebook, and you should have in your pocket, you should have a color wheel and a color scheme exercise paper. Alright? And what you want to do is glue this onto one side of your sketchbook and this onto the other page. If you can get 2 pages next to each other, that will be good. But if you can't, that's okay. Callie here is going to be doing some work with us. And she has put her color wheel almost in the middle of her page, and you need to make sure that you have the yellow up. Okay, yellow goes up. So go ahead and take a minute and glue this into your sketchbook. And don't worry about gluing this yet. We can cut this out and put it in later because you got some writing and stuff to do on it. So glue your color wheel real quick. Okay, now that you've glued this in, what we have done is we have started sorting our crayons. We have a nice big box of crayons here. Because you do not have to use paint for this first part, it may be easier for you to just grab some crayons or some markers, whatever you have. And we have, first of all, our primary colors. If you're using paint, you can get your primary colors of paint. I'm not going to use paint with this one yet because I don't want to mix a bunch of colors right now. Callie, that doesn't go in there. Okay, so we have our primary colors. So get you a pencil if you do not have one. And we are going to label our color wheel, okay? So first off, we're going to have our yellow section, okay? Then our red, right here. And then we have our blue right here. Alright, and so this is, we're going to write up here, primary. Here's our other primary. And then here's primary. Now it should look something like this, okay? So however you want to write it is fine. And this color wheel is very important because this is an organized arrangement of colors, and it shows how all the colors are related to each other, okay? And so these are our first colors that we're going to have as our primary. Now, if we mix yellow and red, we are going to get an orange color. So let's write our color or paint or whatever you're doing. If you are using paint, you can go ahead and mix these 2 colors a little bit, and you only need like a drop because we're just making little dots here, okay? We're going to put our orange as our first secondary color, so we're going to put secondary, and then what do we get if we mix a blue and a yellow? We're going to get green, right? So here is our green, which is our next secondary color. Okay, and then if we mix blue and red, we're going to get a what? A purple, which is right here. Here's our other secondary color. Okay, so we have our 3 primary and 3 secondary. Very good. Okay, now we're going to move on to our intermediate colors, which is also called our tertiary colors. Tertiary doesn't spell like that. It looks like tertiary, but you pronounce it tertiary. And these are the colors you get after mixing these 2. So we're going to look for these empty spots here. So let's go ahead and we're going to draw some circles here so we'll know these are our 6 tertiary or intermediate colors that we're going to get from mixing the other ones. Okay? So let's start up here. If we have a yellow and an orange, and we mix this, and you're going to have a yellow-orange. All right? Or you can get a crayon that says yellow-orange on it. Okay? Now let's move on. If we have an orange and a red that we mix, we're going to get a red-orange. All right? I'll go ahead and write these. So this was a yellow, orange, right? Yellow, orange. Now this is a orange, red, or red, orange, okay, because we're using these two. So we'll just say red, orange here. Okay, and let's move to the next one. We're going to have a cross between the red and the purple, or red and the violet. So this would be a red-violet here. I'll go ahead and label these in a minute so we can fast forward here. And then we have a cross between a purple and a blue. So this is going to be a blue and a violet. So this is going to be a blue-violet. And now we're going to move on to a blue and a green, which is going to give us, thank you, Callie, a blue-green over here, which is one of my favorite colors. And then we're going to have a cross between the green and the yellow, which is a yellow-green. Okay? This color may vary a little bit depending on what you have. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to label the rest of these colors real quick. Okay, so I went ahead and labeled all of these, and I underlined those because those are my intermediate or tertiary colors, whichever one you want to call them. So we're going to go back here and let's review. We have our primary. So let's put a star on our primary colors. Remember, yellow, red, and what? Blue. There's our stars. Secondary. We can go ahead and circle these also. That went out of focus on me. Primary. Primary. And then we can take these secondary ones and we'll box these in so that we can recognize these easily. Okay, so we should have a circle and a star around our primary colors. Secondary ones should have a box around them. And then we actually named the color for all the other ones and put an underline those. So take a minute to finish up yours and then we will move on. Okay, now that we have our color wheel labeled so we can see how all the colors are related to each other, now we're going to divide this between our warm and cool colors, okay? So I'm going to make a line here. Okay, so it starts here and goes around, and then we'll just make another one. And this one's going to go around this side. And we're going to write cool, and then on this side we'll write warm. Okay, so we have our cool colors and our warm colors. Okay, so if you're going to do a painting and you want the painting to have a warm feeling to it, you're going to use colors that are over here. If you want a nice cool feeling painting, a painting that's maybe with night and everything else, or winter, or has a sad feeling, you're going to probably use some colors that are on this side. Also, we're going to start discussing some of the color schemes now. Now, doing a cool color scheme and a warm color scheme is an option, okay? Using cool colors or just warm colors. But we're also going to talk about some other schemes, complementary. So let's start filling this in. Okay, let's do our first scheme, which is we're going to talk about a complementary color scheme. Now this is going to be pretty easy because a complementary color scheme is one that is directly apart from each other. So we're going to draw our line like this, and we're going to say complementary. Now we can change this to where it's a split complementary, okay, by doing, instead of going straight down to the bottom, we're going to split it out. Now, we can do this starting on another side. So instead of going straight across here, because we've already got a line here, let's draw a line somewhere else. So we'll start on the red. And so I'll put my, I'll put my dot over here on the red, okay, on a primary. And we're going to go across, and let's see, we'll do this one a squiggly line. But instead of going to the green, we're going to head over this way to the light green and head over this way. So now we have a split complementary. So I'm just going to write split right here. Okay. So we got split. That's a split complementary. And we can do also a triadic scheme. Triadic sounds like triangle, and it is a triangle. So what we're going to do is we'll start on this one, and we'll use this one with a dotted line, okay? So we're going to dot our line here, go to our blue, go down here to our red, and over here we'll connect them, okay? So we have these connected in a triangle. And if you notice, between there's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oops, I didn't go to the right. Yeah, I did. 1, 2, 3. Then we have 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 in between each place of our triangle here. And last, we're going to talk about an analogous scheme. Now, analogous, we're going to put this on the outside, so we would use the yellow. We're going to jump over here. The yellow-orange and the orange, and we can even move over some more if we want to. We don't have to use 3, we can use 4, or we can even use 5, but they have to be right next to each other. So you can just put 3 if you want, or you can put 4. And I'm going to put analogous over here. Analogous, okay? Because these are right next to each other. Okay, so let's go ahead and start working on our worksheet. Real quick also, before we begin, we need to discuss the warm and cool colors one more time to make sure in class I'm okay with you using this green, like I said, because it has yellow in it, and yellow is the first really warm color there is, but this has yellow in it. And I personally don't see anything wrong with using this. But for educational purposes, you know, we're going to draw a line right here, because honestly, as far as academics, this is where your warm color starts, okay? If you have to take a test or something, they're going to ask you if this is a warm or cool color, and it will be a cool color. But for our class, I don't care if you use that with either one of these, okay? Because it has yellow in it for this, and it has green in it for this. So I personally don't care. And there are 6 of each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to draw another line right here. Okay. So we have our warm and our cool. And like I said before, this has some purple in it, some violet in it. So I don't care if you include that in your cool colors. But it is defined as a warm color because it has the red. So I'm cool with this one. We'll put a little question mark by it, and we'll put a question mark by this one also, because these two for class, I don't care where you put them, but for academic reasons, you do need to know that this one goes with the cool, this one goes with the warm. So with that being said, let's continue with this, and let's have a definition of, well, first of all, we're going to skip this one, so let's put a star by this. This is for the next lesson, okay? Because we're going to be doing monochromatic in the next lesson. But for now, we're going to skip that, and we're going to start with our warm and cool colors. So let's define these two real quick. Okay, so here's the definition. 6 colors that remind us of heat or fire. Important to put 6, okay? Because there's 6 of each. And the cool colors, and here's 6 colors that remind us of night, cold, water, or grass. So here we have 6, and here we have 6. And the grass is the reason why they include the greens, okay? Heat and fire is why they include the yellows. So, and then again, we have the questionable 2 right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to color in all of the warm colors here and all of the cool colors here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So use your color wheel and take a minute to color all of the academic warm colors and academic cool colors, okay? So include this with your cool colors and include this one with your warm, okay? Okay, so here is our colors all filled out. I started with yellow and I just went down the row this way, like this. And then I started with purple or the violet and continued on until I got to the green, like the yellow-green. So you can do this however you want to. You can go up and down like this in a zigzag pattern. Doesn't matter as long as they're all on here. Now we can move on to our color schemes. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 that we're going to discuss. So let's talk about the first one, complementary. Okay, we're going to show 3 different examples here. 1, 2, 3, because it's 2 colors each, right? Complementary is like this. If you're here, you're here. If you move over, it's going to be these two, and so forth all the way around your color wheel. Okay, so let's take a minute to write a definition. Okay, here is a definition for our complementary colors. 2 colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. So take a minute, you can pause the video, and let's write our definition in here. Okay, now we're going to take a minute to fill in some complementary colors here. It can be any 2 colors, as long as they are directly across from each other on the color wheel. Okay, so here's some of mine. Obviously messed up on this one. My cat distracted me, and I started coloring that red instead of purple. So, but I have my first one, the yellow and purple, or violet. And we have the Christmassy colors, green and red, which are here, green and red. And then we have my blue-green and a red-orange, which are across from each other here. So, of all of these, I kind of like this one the best if it wasn't messed up. I like these 2 colors. So let's go ahead and move on to split complementary. Remember, that's the one that would be complementary, but it splits, okay? So let's get a definition written for that. Okay, so here is the definition for split complementary. A base color, okay, which would be like this, 1 color that you pick, and then 2 colors adjacent to its complement. Adjacent just means it's next door to it on either side. So here's your base color as a red, and then we're going to squiggly line, come over here. This would be its complement, but we're going to split, and we're going to use the 2 colors adjacent to its complement. So go ahead and write this definition, and then we're going to give 3 examples horizontally. That means this way, okay? 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to pick another set, 1, 2, 3, and pick another set, 1, 2, 3. So let's do that real quick. Dang it. Okay, so here are the color schemes. First one, we have the one that we have over here. It's red, right? And then we're going to split it to a blue-green and a yellow-green. We have a red, blue-green, and a yellow-green. And here are just 3 more sets. Okay, so let's go to the triadic scheme. And again, we're going to do 3 examples horizontally with this. Okay, triadic, remember, makes the triangle, and we have 3 in between each of the spaces. Okay, and I went ahead and drew a little triangle on each one of these so that I could easily see there's 3 in between as my triangle can move around. So let's go ahead and write a definition. Okay, here's the definition for the triadic scheme. 3 colors evenly spaced around the color wheel. So since they are evenly spaced because they have 1, 2, 3 colors in between each of them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that we have our definition, we can go ahead and color 3 different sections, okay, of 3 different triadic color schemes. Let's do that real quick. Okay, here are some color examples. We have red, yellow, and blue. That's the Wonder Woman colors, aren't it? Isn't it? And we have another one, and I just rotated my triangles. So if it was here, I rotated it this way and did those, and then rotated it again. So I ended up, my last one was the green, the purple, and the orange. So I kind of like this middle one a little bit, actually. So you might find out that you like some more than others. Let's do the last one, analogous scheme. And this one is going to be the 3 next to each other. Now remember, this is academically just supposed to use 3, but in all reality, you can use more than that, okay, as long as they're all touching. So what you can't do is use some and then, oh, I want to use the green too, so I'm going to use these and then this green. No, that would be skipping this one. You can't do that. You have to use all of them, so you can't skip over stuff. If I wanted to use some red and I also wanted to use yellow, well, I would have to use all of these to get to the yellow. I can't skip some. But for today, we're just going to use 3 colors, okay? So we have, well, actually today they have 4, so we'll just go ahead. Let me correct that. We'll use 4 today. So let's go ahead and pull this over again. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do 4 colors today. It's even better. So let's write a definition, and then we'll do our coloring. Okay, here's our definition. The use of colors that are next to each other. Okay, so pause the video if you need to, write this down. And now we're going to come over and fill in some of our colors. So we have 1, 2, 3 sets. Okay. Okay, here is some examples going across of analogous colors that are all touching. I go from yellow all the way to a red. Here we go from a purple all the way to a blue-green. And green would be next. And here we start at a red, red-violet, violet, and a blue-violet. So, and again, these are crayons, so colors vary a little bit depending on what pack you have. But so you have completed your worksheet, all except for this one. I had a good new worksheet and lost my star here. Okay, all except for this one. This will be for the next lesson for our monochromatic, but we're not going to mess with that now. So now your assignment is to use what you know here, all your information. You don't have to use these exact colors, but use this information and use your color wheel to create a picture of that incorporates a color scheme. Now what we're fixing to do is look at some videos of color schemes that have actually been turned into artwork. So let's do that real quick, and hopefully that will give you some ideas of what to do. Now you don't have to do complicated pictures. You can do something that's very simple. Okay, so let's do that now. Okay, let's take a minute to look at some color schemes used real life and in artwork and everything. And this will hopefully give you some ideas of what you can do. Now here is a simple. We're going to start with our primary colors, which are what? Red, yellow, and blue, right? And they involve those 3 colors, and that's all you use. So here's an example. And of course they just did shapes here. And you can do this if you want to. If you just want to put some different type of organic or geometric shapes on your paper and then color them based on your color scheme with some paint, then you can do that as well. If you don't have paint, you can use your map colors or markers or whatever you have. If you're just doing this plain color scheme. When we do monochromatic stuff, you have to use your paint because we're adding white and black to it to get different hues. But for this one, for this lesson, you can use markers if you want to. But anyway, so here's a first one for the primary color artwork. Let's look at another one. Okay, here is another one. This is pretty cool. It's pretty complex. Don't expect you to do this kind of stuff, but this is still an example of them just using red, yellow, and blue. And you notice in this one, they did a pattern around him to emphasize, and they did red and blue to show the definition of his muscles. Okay, so they can't use black. Let's look at another one. This one is really neat. They did use some black in this one though, but I'm not going to fuss about that because this is a really cool picture. This one is some scenery, so here's another option that you can do is scenery, which is super fun. And they use different colors down here so you can differentiate between the leaves, right? And they did some swirly movements up here. It's really organic looking and flowy for the sky, and it goes from left to right. The trees are, you notice the lines that they made are moving upward. So these are vertical lines so you can tell the difference between the trees and the sky, because we're not using black to outline all this stuff, right? The thing that makes it different here, if you notice, is the direction of the painting, right? So keep that in mind as you do this. The direction that you paint is a big deal. Here's another one. This one's of some fruit on a plate, and they did use some black in here also. We're going to try not to do that when we do just our basic colors, okay? So we have some fruit, bananas, some grapes, and they use their primary colors once again to define what these are. And the difference is not only the direction of the strokes, but the color is what makes the difference between this is the space, your negative space, and this is the positive space of the plate because it turns yellow. So I guess they outline this because this object is also yellow and it's right next to the plate, so it would be difficult, it would just blend right in, okay? Because you notice on this side they did not use the black because they have blue under here for the shadow, and that helps tell you, oh, there's a difference in the objects here. The grapes, you notice, are outlined in blue, so they didn't really have to put a lot of black on the blue. So, okay, let's move on to secondary colors. Okay, so here's a cute color scheme for your secondary colors. And what are your secondary colors again? They're going to be the ones that you make after you mix your primary ones, which would be the green, the orange, and the purple. And so that's what they used here. They used green, orange, and purple. And we can see that they did add some white to this, which we are not going to do this time. But this is an example of how you can use those three colors. This is a more advanced piece of artwork, but you can still see that even people that are doing advanced artwork, they use color schemes to make their artwork appealing. So this one, even though they didn't just stick with that because they have a bowl down here and they have a background, but you notice they used which colors? Orange, purple, and green. Now they use these other ones to highlight some yellow and some whites and all this, and some grays back here. And they have different tones and shades of the green, and different tones and shades of purple, and different tones and shades of the orange. But they still used a secondary color scheme, and it still looks really good. And here's someone, this is a secondary color scheme piece of artwork, and again, this is just some lines that they made, which you are free to do if that's what you would like to do. Okay, well, let's move on to, since we don't have much time, let's do the analogous colors. Now these are the ones that are, they're all touching, they're right next to each other. In class we did 3 colors next to each other because that's simple, but you do not have to restrict yourself just to 3. You can do 4 colors next to each other. Some people do even a few more than that, but they all have to be touching. You just don't want to mix over usually into too many cool colors with the orange. You're either going to stay in a warms color section or a cooler color section when you do analogous colors. This is a warmer picture, okay, because it's used with some of the orange and yellows is dominating it, but it does have a little bit of green in it. So this one, they have the yellows and oranges, and then they have a little bit of the green in here. And they even started adding some dark green, so they did add a little bit of color, which could even be a little bit of blue. but they didn't put any purples in here, so that's good. Let's see if we can find another one. Let's see, this is some blues and greens, okay, and they stuck with this, and this is a cool color scheme right here. Let's look at some complementary colors, okay. Let's see, we can. This is a complementary color schemed artwork. It's very pretty, so this can give you some ideas. This is a sunset, and so they have, if you look on your color wheel, blue, and the opposite of that is orange, and so they used the blues and orange to make this one, which turned out really, really nice. I like it. Here's another one with some blue and orange, and this is done a little bit differently because you have a lot of texture on this one. This is done on a canvas, but this is also a complementary color. Remember, they're opposite of each other, and it's just two colors that you're going to stick with. Now let's go to a split complementary. This one has blue and orange in it as well, but it also has yellow thrown in there, some yellowish colors. So this would be a split complementary, because we're going to start with the blue side and you're going to go over to the orange, but then instead of staying with the orange, you're going to split over to a yellow orange and a red orange. So that's why you have a little bit more of a red tint in here. So this one looks really nice as well. Okay, so just to show you, also this is a monochromatic painting. That means they only picked one color and they added lights and darks to it. They added some black to it to give it this dark shade, and they added light to it to make the lighter. And obviously they did this with a blue. Now, we're not doing this today for this lesson. It's going to be for the next one. So I just wanted to show you to make sure you did not do this. We're not adding blacks or whites to our colors right now. Here's another one. This one's just some shapes, so you can do this also. This is just done with blue, and they add some black or white to it to get it to different shades and tints. So, all right, that is it for all your examples. Hopefully this helped you out a little bit.